Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Hello Dave with Down to Earth Astronomy. It has been finally a fairly quiet week in Elite Dangerous. The dust has now settled after the whole 2.4 release and the expo and all the news that goes out of that. So it seems like most things are back to its normal thing in the Elite universe. But there are a few things that I still want to comment on this week. Of course, we still have the ongoing arms race to get new equipment to fight the Thargoids. We recently got some new cannons. I haven't been able to test them out yet myself, mainly because I've been gone most of this weekend. But it seems to be pretty fun. From the reports I have so far, it sounds like what you do is you shoot out a shell and you hold down the trigger, and when you release the trigger it explodes, which adds a new level of player skill into the weapon. This is a great idea, I think, if that's how it works. Again, I haven't been able to try them out myself. But if I understood that correctly, that's how they apparently work. And I think that's great to put more player skill into the game, rather than making it an who can spend the most time grinding, because I think it's much more satisfying to spend your time perfecting your combat skills, like your real life player skills and piloting skills, rather than spending your time grinding for materials or money to buy something you want. So I maybe, if this is a hint of things to come, I like that idea. And in case anyone at Frontier is watching this, thumbs up from me to move in that direction. And also, of course, the more multiplayer focus as we talked about before. Yeah, so, but that of course means that we now have a new module that we're racing to unlock over the next week. Frontier seems to keep this extremely high pace of just pushing out modules. My only guess is that they have a large list of modules they want to unlock. That's why they're doing it 1 week at a time. This week we finally get these, I can't remember what they're called. It's the anti-disruption pulse thingy magic. No, it's a module that we saw it in the trailer, launch trailer for 2.4, like the small cinematic trailer. Like a module that prevents the Thargoids from disabling our ship. Something I would have thought we would have gotten a lot earlier, but again, it hadn't really been that big of an issue. It seems like the Thargoids are really only using them in emergencies. At least when you attack them, it's only when they're close to dying that they actually use it to try and get away, I guess. So it hasn't been a real issue. And this time it is Elvira Matuk, which is, of course, I mean, she doesn't do any of those sensor things. She thinks she just frameshift drives and some shield stuff. Maybe thrusters as well, if I recall correctly. But mainly she does grade 5 frameshift drives. And again, she's a great level 1 engineer, meaning she's one of the first engineers you can unlock, because you don't have to have any other engineers unlocked to start working on her. So it seems like, and I talked about this last week, that Frontier is going for all the level 1 or the beginning engineers to start with. And if that's true, then we will of course have the next module, whatever that is, the next week, should then be at Farseer, because I think she's the only level 1 engineer who hasn't done any modules yet. I'm not completely sure about that, but I think that it is. And then I would expect them then to move on to the level 2 and then finally the level 3. It might be that they're trying to encourage people, I talked about this last week as well, that they're trying to encourage people to begin unlocking engineers, and maybe that's a hint of what's to come. Maybe these engineers are going to play a more important role, which I kind of have mixed feelings about. On one hand, I think it's good that they are implementing engineers into the storyline, rather than just being a place you go and throw materials at them to get better modules. But on the other hand, it is also a grind, and if you can't take part of that unless you unlock a specific engineer, that could potentially force people into a playstyle that they might not enjoy. Let's say you need to unlock Celine Jane, for instance, where you need to mine a lot of materials in order to unlock her. And some people might not like mining. Crazy people, I know, but they might not. And So I don't know, but I guess we'll wait and see. I mean, right now it's not a prerequisite that you unlock the engineer to participate in the in that not really a community goal, but unlocking these special events for unlocking these new modules. So I don't really see why it actually have to be at an engineer anyway. Then, but I guess the way Frontier doing stuff is sometimes a mystery to me. But enough about those missions. There is something else I want to touch upon as well. Last weekend? It was actually on Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I launched a video on the Palin missions, and there seems to be something up with them. I changed up the video, and I also made an update on the description and made a pinned comment, because there are some things that I realized after I made the video. And if you haven't watched it, basically the video is divided into two parts, because the method revolves around: you get a mission from Palin to collect some materials, you go out, you pick them up, you come back, you deliver it, and then you get a ton of money. But the video was divided into two parts, because as I see it, there's two main ways you can do it. Either you take one mission, you go out, you collect those specific materials, you come back, you hand it in. Or you go out and you collect a ton of materials, and then you come back and then you use Board Hop for missions and then hand them in. And the first method, I think that part of the video is still good. That thing is perfectly legit, and that should still work. But the second part is the problem. You see, when I tested it, when I came back to the station, I was almost exclusively getting missions for Thargoid Resonance delivered to Obsidian Orbital, which of course meant I didn't have to board hop a lot to get the missions. I would just go in, hand in a mission, go out, and okay, maybe they get a one on only 2 or 1 or maybe 3 materials, but I'll take it anyway and I'll hand in those materials. And I would pretty quickly, I think within 20 minutes, I was able to hand in all the materials I've collected, about these 18 tons that you could fit into an Anaconda, approximately, and then I could move out. And I thought, okay, well, that's pretty quick. I mean, then I got a final runtime of 45 minutes. But problem is, now later when I've been trying to reproduce it, because a lot of people complained that they didn't get any missions after hours of board hopping. I was like, why? I got them like back to back to back. It was so easy to get. And then I went back and I tried to redo it, and I got the same thing. I didn't, or not the same thing, the same thing as people described. I didn't get any missions at all. And then some people even wrote back to me later saying, oh, but last night they were board hopping for hours, they didn't get anything, and then suddenly they got in, and now they just got the missions back to back. So it looks like there is some kind of hidden mechanic somewhere, or maybe it's just extreme RNG. It feels like there is something going on that we do not yet understand with those missions, how they're generated. I don't think it's completely random. It seems odd that you don't get any of the right missions, then suddenly you just get them back to back. I don't know. So I don't know exactly what's going on. So I mean, if you want to use this method, what I would recommend is to do the first, what I in the video call the simple method, where you just pick up a mission, then you go out and collect what that mission is for, regardless, because it removes a lot of the RNG, because you don't have to have both the right materials and the right station. Now you only have to have a mission that pays out well, preferably with 4 materials. But that's quite easy to get. But it doesn't matter which material it is. You just have to have it to the right station this time. So it makes it a little bit more consistent, I think, even though the payouts is a little lower, which is also why if you were to video early, you would see that the thumbnail and the description, both the description and the title of the video has actually been changed now, because I don't want to mislead people into something that I thought was working, but is not really working anyway. Which is also why I'm mentioning here in Hello Dave, just to let you guys know, and I try to do my best as I could to show it in the video, both description and in the comment section, so people can see that there is something up with what I in the video called the advanced method. But yeah, so that's the thing. Last thing, last week I talked about my whole Hotas setting or situation. So my current Hotas is the X52 Pro, which I've had for a long time. That thing has about 1,000 play hours behind it, and I mean, it's still working, but it's slow. I can begin to feel that it's slowly beginning to die. I have some of the hat switches are only responding half the time, and I have other buttons that will fire twice when I click on them, stuff like that. So there's definitely room to get maybe not an upgrade, but at least get a new Hotas throttle and stick, because it is slowly dying, and I want to get a new one before the one I currently have is dying, which is why I'm looking up here all the time, because it's on a shelf up there, so I'm looking up at it. But I've been really much in doubt of what I should get. First, I thought I would get either a new X52 Pro, the X56, or the Thrustmaster Warthog. I've kind of gone away from the idea of the Warthog, even though I like the all metal construction. It seems very solid and seems like something that would last you a lifetime. First of all, I'm not too fan of the look of the actual joystick or the layout of the buttons. Not too fond of that. And what I don't like is that it doesn't have the stick doesn't twist. And I know you can use thumbsticks, but for me, when I do, for instance, when I do the Worth of Visits, you would often see me, I also mentioned this last week, I think, but I'll often do these sweeping shots, like where I sweep from left to right. Now, if I do that with a thumbstick, even though you might have an analog thumbstick, it's going to be very, very difficult to keep that consistent sweep. That's easier to do with bunnies. Shh. That's easier to do when you twist the joystick, because you control that a lot more than you can with any other. Hold on, what's going on? Okay, one of the bunnies is playing with one of his toys, which is what you can hear in the background right now. Anyway, so that's why I really, so if I want to go for the Warthog, I would have to go and also buy a set of pedals, which I could then use for yawing, which would give me the level of control that I need. I'm not too afraid of changing the control scheme. I'm gonna get used to that pretty quickly, I think. But again, the Warthog is expensive, and I would also have to go out and invest in pedals for it, which is gonna make it even more expensive. That's a very expensive setup. And with wires on the floor is something that I really want to avoid, because again, bunnies. I mean, I have this area fenced in, so it's not that big of an issue. But if they do get in here, the first thing they'll do is go and eat any wire they can find. So, and that would be a shame to lose my foot pedals through that. But that's why I'm not too fond of the foot pedal approach. So that leaves me with either buying a new X52 Pro or buying the X56. I like both of them. The X52 Pro that I have right now, I mean, I know that's a good joystick. I mean, if I've heard that lately the build quality might not be as good as it was. I mean, this one lasted me 4 years, which I'm not complaining about. That's very respectable. Over 1,000 hours of game time on that stick. So yeah, that's definitely acceptable. But again, I'm really much in doubt what I should get. And I'm still thinking about what I'm gonna do. But anyway, if you've tried both of them, let me know in the comments if you had either of the two, either the X52 Pro or the X56. Let me know what you think about them. Or did you have any build quality issues? Did you come up? Was there anything that didn't suited you, or were you very happy with it? Was this something you were pleasantly surprised? And I especially want to hear from people who used both of them, what they think of them, because I've already watched a lot of reviews, but in the end, review videos, I mean, they go over where the buttons are and stuff like that, but they often do, this is how the joystick feels. What I really am looking for is someone who's been using it for a while and know how the stick will handle after a long after a lot of use. So yeah, I thought I was gonna keep this short, but we're already up at 15 minutes now, so I'm gonna cut it here. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give a like down below, and until next time, I'll see you guys in space.